Welcome to the Deeper Thinking podcast. In today's conversation, we explore a towering cinematic icon that has long served as an unexpected mirror to human ambition and frailty. Godzilla started as a radioactive spectre haunting post-war Japan, yet over decades it has morphed into a universal symbol, stomping through our fears about unchecked technology, the delicate interplay between people and nature, and the power structures that often fail us when crisis looms. Today's episode dives into how mythic monsters can reveal hidden truths about everything from ecological fallout to the ethical dilemmas lurking in every new scientific breakthrough. To explore more about the concepts and thinkers discussed, including Hannah Arendt's perspectives on moral responsibility, Michel Foucault's analyses of power and knowledge, and the Anthropocene framework on humanity's environmental impact, please visit the episode description. Scroll to the end for a link to the episode webpage, where you'll find further resources, book recommendations, and an option to support my work through Buy Me a Coffee. Your support is vital to support the continuation of this long-form independent content. I really appreciate it. Godzilla emerged in 1954 as a cinematic embodiment of Japan's post-war anxieties, a towering force unleashed in response to the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the radioactive fallout that struck the fishing vessel Lucky Dragon 5. In that first film, Godzilla's skin was dark and scarred, a stark reminder of the keloid burns suffered by bomb survivors, and its roar echoed the unresolved trauma of an entire nation grappling with the unimaginable consequences of nuclear warfare. Over time, this monster evolved far beyond a simple metaphor for atomic devastation, becoming a dynamic symbol that mirrored shifting cultural and political perspectives on nuclear power and technology. Early incarnations emphasized Godzilla's tragic dimension, an unwilling creation of mankind's folly, rampaging in retaliation for the hubris that spawned it. As Japan's stance on nuclear energy grew more complicated, Godzilla's character reflected those nuances, changing from a straightforward destroyer into a creature capable of absorbing and wielding radioactive energy, a fantastical representation of nuclear technology's double-edged potential. In later decades, as the world's attention pivoted to new global dangers, Godzilla's narrative began folding in contemporary fears that extended beyond nuclear bombs. Environmental disasters, climate change, and human interference in nature all found representation within the monster's shifting role. Films such as Shin Godzilla showcased a horrifying, ever-mutating entity whose destructive force paralleled the real-life chaos unleashed by disasters like Fukushima, mirroring anxieties about both technological overreach and bureaucratic incapacity. This thematic expansion propelled Godzilla from a purely Japanese warning tale to a more universal emblem of catastrophe, capable of resonating with international audiences who saw in the monster the fears and uncertainties of their own eras. The franchise's ability to transform itself and address emergent issues underscored its resilience, as its box office performances continued to soar and draw viewers eager for both spectacle and social commentary. Beneath the cinematic mayhem lurked deeper philosophical questions about humanity's relationship with technology, often echoing the work of thinkers like Martin Heidegger and Hannah Arendt. Heidegger's notion that technology can both reveal and obscure the truth of human existence found a parallel in Godzilla's narrative. The monster revealed the catastrophic potential of nuclear science, while obscuring the human decisions that allowed such technology to flourish. Arendt's reflections on the banality of evil added further complexity, suggesting that the bureaucratic processes enabling dangerous pursuits like nuclear experimentation might be as monstrous as the beast itself. Through these layers, Godzilla became a mirror held up to society, compelling viewers to confront the moral and existential stakes of scientific ambition. In recent interpretations, the creature's role has occasionally tipped into protector, highlighting humanity's desperate reliance on forces it barely understands when facing existential threats of its own making. This evolution sparked discussions about whether Godzilla's destructive capabilities could be harnessed for salvation, paralleling real-world debates around nuclear power as a potential solution to climate change, a technology offering clean energy while still bearing the spectre of devastating failure. Even when rendered through Hollywood blockbusters or animated series, Godzilla's core significance as a metaphor for unchecked power remains vital. Surveys in Japan after the Fukushima Daiichi crisis revealed a surge in anti-nuclear sentiment, with a large majority of the populace advocating a move away from atomic energy. In cinematic form, Godzilla reflected those collective anxieties by showing how a catastrophe set in motion by human error could spiral far beyond anyone's control. Global ticket sales exceeding $1 billion across multiple installments testify to the monster's continued relevance. Yet behind the theatrical destruction and roaring spectacle lies a consistent cautionary tale. Every leap in scientific progress carries burdensome ethical responsibilities. Through its decades-long journey, Godzilla has reminded us that in the pursuit of innovation, humans must reckon with the monstrous consequences they might unwittingly awaken, and that the path toward harnessing technology for good demands humility, foresight, and respect for the power it wields. Godzilla's resonance within global culture stems from its ability to capture not just scenes of colossal chaos, but also the undercurrents of ethical and existential questioning that permeate modern life. Over the years, the monster's roars and rampages have served as catalysts for public reflection on how power, technology, and collective choices intersect, often at the expense of ethical safeguards. Despite the franchise's spectacle, what endures is a sense of unresolved responsibility, a nagging feeling that the devastation on screen reflects real-world consequences of unbridled ambition. Even when filmmakers consciously shift the narrative toward pure entertainment, the aura of nuclear origins and ecological parables remains embedded, suggesting that beneath every city-flattening tail swipe, there lurks an echo of unresolved dilemmas about what humanity dares to unleash in its pursuit of progress. The evolution of Godzilla's character can be seen as an ongoing dialogue with various facets of contemporary thought, albeit often without overtly naming them. The monster's shifting portrayals, from Japan's original allegory of radioactive terror to today's global symbol of ecological reckoning, mirror broader debates about how societies handle existential risks. That it continues to garner significant commercial success is testament not just to the allure of spectacle, but also to an underlying fascination with forces too large for any single institution or even any single generation to manage. Audiences might not articulate it in philosophical terms, yet the uneasy tension between humanity's capacity for innovation and the looming possibility of self-inflicted disaster resonates at a deep level, cutting across cultural lines and political divides. From the vantage point of those who wrestle with policymaking or scientific ethics, Godzilla stories encapsulate a cautionary note. Powerful breakthroughs demand equally robust oversight, lest they spawn dangers that no one can fully predict or contain. Scenes of laboratories and governmental war rooms, often filled with clashing perspectives, speak to the difficulties of forging consensus in moments of panic. In some films, experts attempt to study the monster, hoping knowledge might confer control. In others, armies employ newfangled weaponry, eager to neutralize the threat through sheer force. The common thread is the fragility of these efforts, as if each missile or formula exposes another flaw or oversight in humankind's grand designs. This narrative pattern nudges viewers to question whether a truly comprehensive response is possible when the adversary embodies the sum total of unchecked impulses, be they nuclear experimentation or environmental negligence. At the same time, the repeated theme of collective action reveals a glimmer of hope within the chaos. As city after city crumbles, tensions between bureaucrats, scientists, and the general populace often give way to an urgent, if temporary, unity. Even when depicted as a last-ditch maneuver, this convergence illustrates how disparate segments of society might align when an undeniable threat looms. Though clearly dramatized, these plot turns mirror real-world scenarios where disasters become inadvertent catalysts for cooperation, compelling people to transcend political rifts, institutional stagnation, or personal skepticism. Such moments highlight a lingering optimism that humankind can adapt, not by conquering nature outright, but by confronting the destructive capacities that lurk within our own infrastructures and imaginations. Yet Godzilla ultimately retains an inscrutable edge, no matter how many times the creature is summoned onto the screen. That mystery, that sense of an immense reality beyond full human comprehension, is key to why the story continues to enthrall. It gestures toward an acceptance that some forces defy neat categorization as mere enemies or allies, standing instead as reminders that our environment and our inventions can harbor potentials we rarely account for. In some iterations, the monster's silence speaks louder than any human character's frantic appeals for calm or weapon-laden bravado. The blank, reptilian stare that greets each barrage of artillery or new scientific tactic can be taken as an indictment of arrogance, a reminder that the world does not always bend to human will, and that technologies conceived as solutions may become crises under the wrong conditions. Across countless adaptations, reboots, and spin-offs, Godzilla's roar has become a universal language of collective unease. Film critics and casual viewers alike sense that this creation, born from specific cultural trauma, now addresses a far wider conversation about what it means to live in an age of accelerating invention and looming planetary challenges. Nuclear bombs, melting ice caps, or gene-editing breakthroughs, all these concerns swirl beneath the monster's shadow, each bearing the possibility of reshaping life on an enormous scale. As such, Godzilla continues to function as both a cautionary tale and an emblem of perseverance, testifying that even in the face of overwhelming danger, there remains the chance to learn, to collaborate, and to confront the immense consequences of our own collective choices. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Deeper Thinking podcast, an audio essay read by me, Holly, your digital narrator. To learn more about the subjects covered today, check out the links in the show notes. Stay curious, stay engaged, and keep questioning. Until next time.